Okay, let's install Staff Panel SQL. Staff Panel SQL is designed primarily for advisors or other staff members to be able to log in through the executable, the Staff Panel SQL exe file, and then they can get access to the most common things that they do in AccuSQL all in one panel. So they can do things like sign in students, see students in line, make appointment for students, even log into the back-end administration part if they, based on their access group. So it's just a central location for all of the common tasks that you use in AccuSQL. So I'm here in the Staff Panel SQL_dist folder, and I have a setup.exe. I'm going to go ahead and double-click to install Staff Panel SQL. Okay, and I'll click Next, read the license agreement, accept, and click Next. And I can put in my organizational or name information if I'd like. Click Next. And again, I would recommend the default install path as I do with all our products. So I'll click Next. And always I would recommend installing for anyone who uses the computer, all users. And then the installation will begin. Okay, and I would have a icon on the desktop. I'm hiding my icons here in the video, but you would have an icon for Staff Panel SQL you could launch. Also, it will be in your Windows Start menu. Here I just have Launch the Program checked, so I'll click Finish, and you'll notice it'll copy some files out briefly, and then it will open to the Staff Panel. Now you're going to need a tutor ID and password to log into the. Now I say tutor, but I use that term interchangeably because you can change the terminology, of course, in AccuSQL. But it would be your tutor, your staff member, or your advisor would have an ID and password to log into the Staff Panel. Now this is going to open to a sample database running off its own local drive when you first launch it. And I can log in just to look at the software if I'd like with a tutor ID of 000555555 and the password being the same 000555555 and click Done. And now it'll open me up to the tutoring sample database that just ships with the software. Now at this point I'm not using an intake system, so I don't have any students in line. But if I wanted to, I could manually sign in a student, for example. So these are the activities, categories and activities that are available to you, tutors, instructors, or not. So this is all set up on the back end of AccuSQL to determine how this functions. But I'll just pick a student, click Sign In, click OK. Now if I close and go back to my panel, now this does refresh it by itself every 20 seconds or so, so I'll wait here for a second and I'll see that students signed in grid will update. Now if I don't care to wait for it, I can just click the checkbox immediately. But here's Ronica signed in with me, Cindy Bright, the tutor that I logged in with. And then I can do things like look at session notes, add session notes, enter a session questionnaire if I've got that set up for my student, create an appointment, use Messaging Center to send an email, for example. So lots and lots of different things that I can set up. What's available here in the Staff Panel as clickable, if you will, by me is set up for the tutors access group on the back end of AccuSQL. So whatever permissions you grant to your tutors access group, that's going to determine what buttons are available here in Staff Panel. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close and log out because what I'd like to do now is set my Staff Panel to my SQL Server database. Okay, so I'm going to go to File Explorer here and go find my install path, which is, this is a 64-bit PC, so it would be in C program files x86. If it was 32-bit, it would just be C program files. Anyway, C program files x86, and then I've got a folder called Staff Panel SQL right here. Okay, so I'm going to double click on that folder. Now, as with all our SQL Server products, originally, if this is a brand new install on a new PC, you're going to need to install the SQL native client, connectivity client. So that enables you to connect to a SQL Server database. There are two of them here, a 32-bit SQL and CLI or a 64-bit, which is x64. I already have it installed, but I could run through what you would see. You'd click next. Now yours would say install. Mine says modify because it's already installed. When you get to this point, though, you don't need the SDK. Click next and just accept the defaults, and it will install the native driver, and that's all you really need to do. Okay. Anyway, back up a level here, and what I'm looking for is a program to set my database connection parameters. Okay, that program is called setDataPath.exe. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on that. And you can see I'm in native mode. That's what it opens to the first time it opens, and I could go look at that. And it's a tutoring sample database running from its own public folder. We have an AccuTrack I folder that's system generated, so it's running from that. But now I want to connect it to a SQL Server database, so I'll click SQL Server mode, next, and then I put in my server information. And my authentication mode, I'll use SQL Server authentication. Now, if you have a public account, again, out there in your connected to that database, you can attach with your public account. I don't know if I do or not, so I'll just use an SA in this case. And I can test my connection. Once that's happy, then I'll click my database drop down. In a few moments here, it will show me a list of databases that are available in that instance. So I'll pick my AccuSQL 13 testing and then save. So now my database connection information has been saved. I can now go back and run that program again. C program files x86, staff panel SQL, and then the exe itself is called staff panel SQL.exe. So now I open that, and as before, when I was connected to a native tutoring sample database, I'm now connected to that SQL Server database, and I happen to have the same tutor ID in both databases. But I click done, and now I'm ready to go. Okay, I sign a student in, I work with them, and there are lots of videos we'll have out here also for actually using Staff Panel, so how it all works together in conjunction with AccuSQL. So there will be lots of videos out there on that. This is merely installation. Okay, and that's it. Thank you.